80 years ago, a Swedish Nobel Prize winner, his name was Svante Arrhenius. The man is dead since 60 years. And he has come up with a theory which he calls panspermia. What is panspermia? He said, let us imagine somewhere out there the first intelligent form of life started to be alive. Now the critics say, stop. We just move the problem to the next solar system. How does it start there? We have two possible answers. In religion, in philosophy, they tell us in the beginning was God. With all the respect, then we have to ask, what created God? We have no answer. In science, they say is no. In the beginning was the Big Bang. Okay, what created the Big Bang? The first atoms. In astrophysics, nothing comes from nothing. So in the beginning, we have a big zero. If we look at it philosophically or scientifically, in the beginning, we have nothing. So the Swedish Nobel Prize taker said, the first intelligent life has come out somewhere. And this first intelligent form of life had an interest to spread out their own form of life in a certain sector of the universe. To do this, you do not need spaceships in the beginning. You make it completely different. You infect a sector of your Milky Way with your own forms of life. You know, when I make this, I crush away thousands of cells. In each and every cell, I have my DNA. And in every DNA, I have the information to reconstruct the whole body until the last ear or whatever it is. Now you infect a sector of your Milky Way with billions of your own DNA.
DNA is the basic genetic code that's in all organisms. So you find it in plants, in mammals, in every single species. And while it's different, so for example, the human genome is not the same as you would find in a different organism, the base code is the same as in adenine, cytosine, guanine, tyrosine. These are the basic building blocks that you find across all organisms and species and plants. So on that level, it's the same, I guess you could say, alphabet being used. Yeah, it's like if you look at different humans, they've got different genes being expressed in certain cases, in certain traits, and certain features. And when you look out between species, it's kind of similar that way, just that the differences are bigger. So there'd be certain genes expressed in certain organisms and not others.
Every planet which they know is different. There are planets which are closer to the sun, it might be hotter. There are planets which are far away, it's colder. Planets can be bigger. You need more muscles to survive. Smaller, like our moon, you need less muscles to make a jump. Now these extraterrestrials, they are here. They see on the Nile, they see a creature, a crocodile, which obviously is heat resistant. The skin doesn't harm his heat. And in the evening they see that the lion is jumping about a gazelle, is killing a gazelle. They say, why do not mix this heat resistant skin of the one animal with the muscles of the other animals? Why? Because we can use this animal in another planet, which is colder or hotter, or gravity is different. So they make different animals, mixed creatures, and they tell the humans, you are not allowed to touch them, to kill them. You are not allowed to kill them, to hurt them, etc. They are holy figures. In old Egypt, we had one of these figures called the Apis bull. The Apis bull was an artificial animal. It was not the same bull as the normal Egyptian bulls. Apis was different, as Herodot, Diodor, etc. writes. So Apis was an artificial creature. They made these things. There is an old writer called Manetho. Manetho was an Egyptian priest about 400 BC. Manetho's works do not exist, at least only a small part. But the Christian father of the church, Eusebius, he quote Manetho for pages and pages. And Manetho says the gods made mixed creature. And he quotes them. They made human-like figures with wings. They make dogs with the tail of fishes. He quotes these figures and he says, we humans, we made these figures in stone. We chiseled them in stone. We can see it in all the museums of the world. So some of these mixed creatures, they really did exist. You know, in Saqqara, there's this gigantic subterranean tunnel called Serapheum. And Serapheum is, there you find the most gigantic sarcophaguses in the world. Egypt is very impressive anyhow, but these sarcophaguses are gigantic. When they were discovered by the French ethnologist Auguste Mariette, he was also the founder of the Egyptian Museum long time ago. He knew from the literature, he knew that in old Egypt, the Egyptians, they worshipped a holy animal with the sacred bull with the name of Apis. He knew it from the literature. But there were never found an Apis bull mummy. They had found mummies of all kinds of animals, including crocodiles, including fishes, all mummified, but not Apis. So Auguste Mariette, one day he was out in Saqqara, and he found a stone with the writing on Holy Apis. He said to himself, are here maybe somewhere in Saqqara mummies of Apis? Now Auguste Mariette, really, he did not work like archaeologists are doing today, very softly with brushes and so on. Now he simply used dynamite to make holes terrible. So there was a hole in the desert of Saqqara, and he fell down, and he was standing before these gigantic sarcophaguses in the Serapheum. Then in the beginning he said, these sarcophaguses are made for the Apis, so gigantic. They opened one or two or three, they were or empty, was nothing in them, or they found melted bitumen. Bitumen is asphalt, this dark black stuff which stinks, which we use for the streets. And in Egypt, in antiquity, there were natural asphalt lakes. So the sarcophaguses were full with asphalt, stinking asphalt. They took them out on the desert, and in the asphalt they found thousands and thousands of pieces of bones of different animals.
هل من الممكن أن ما فسره الخبراء على أنه عظام من مخلوقات مختلفة موجودة في السرافيوم هو في الواقع عظام لمخلوق واحد، مخلوق هجين، وهو العجل أبيس؟ لماذا قد يفعل المصريون ذلك؟ لماذا يتكبدون كل هذا العناء من أجل بناء هذه التوابيت العملاقة من محاجر الجرانيت على بعد 800 كيلومتر، وينقلونها إلى سقارة ويضعوها في أعماق الأرض فقط من أجل دفن العظام المكسورة فيها؟ قام المصريون بتحنيط كل شيء، القطط والقرود والفئران والطيور وحتى الأسماك والتماسيح، معتقدين أن هذه المخلوقات سوف ترجع وأنها سترجع في يوم من الأيام. فلماذا بعد ذلك يتم تغطية العظام المكسورة من العجل أبيس بهذا القطران؟ ولماذا تم وضعها في صناديق جرانيت ضخمة ودفنها في أعماق الأرض؟ من الواضح أن الذي يقف وراء هذا ذهب إلى أبعد الحدود للتأكد من أن هذه المخلوقات لا ترجع مرة أخرى.
Now we have a real problem. In old Egypt, it was absolutely religion, part of religion, to be mummified. Not only human bodies, also the bodies of animals. Why do they have to be mummified? They believed in resurrection, in reincarnation. They said we all will be reincarnated, but only if your body is preserved. If your body is not preserved, you will not be reincarnated. So the reincarnation was the reason for mummification. So the body has to be complete. And now in there, you find some smashed bones. You just imagine how this could work. The sarcophagus in the Serapheum is made out of granite from Saqqara. Saqqara, more or less 1,000 kilometers away. So they have to transport these gigantic blocks down to Saqqara. They have to chisel it in an incredible precise way. A technology incredible. You see it on the sarcophagus. Other troops have to make hollow sort of shaft under the desert of Saqqara. They bring these gigantic sarcophags down there. For what? Just to put smashed bones in it with asphalt? It's all rubbish. The Seraphim was not a place for the holy sacred bull. The Seraphim was a place where they had buried mixed creatures. You know, these mixed creatures, they were holy. The people were not allowed to kill them. So the humans waited until the mixed creature died out on a normal way, a natural way. Soon as they die, now they made subterranean caves in Saqqara. They transported granite from Aswan. They smashed these mixed creatures into different bones. They put it in the sarcophagus. They add some bitumen up there and a gigantic lid on it. So the Seraphim was not a place of resurrection. It was the contrary. It was a place, never come back again. They were afraid of it. You know, Herodotus' daughter, they write that, for example, the holy bull, the Apis bull, he destroyed some fields. He killed old people. He killed infants. They were afraid. They could not do nothing against him.
وهكذا قد مات آخر هجين مصري، وقد تمت تغطيته بالكامل ودفنه تحت الرمال الساخنة في مصر منذ آلاف السنين. وبقيت تماثيلها فقط شاهدة عليها، وتلاشت مع رياح الصحراء ذكريات وجودها بيننا. أوضح أبا الصادق عليه السلام أنه كان هناك نبي في مصر يدعى عميد عليه السلام، كان مظلوما ومسجونا من قبل طاغية هذا الزمان. بعد وفاته بنى اتباعه تمثالا ليخلدوه. أبو الهول في مصر هو في الواقع وجه عميد عليه السلام، وعلى الرغم من أن عميد عليه السلام لم يكن له في الحقيقة جسم أسد، فقد صوروه على هذا النحو لأنهم يعتقدون أن هذه المخلوقات الهجينة كانت ملائكة كما رأوهم قادمين إلى الأرض من السماء. هكذا صوروا عميد عليه السلام للتأكيد على نبوته وأصله الملائكي وفقا للعلم الحديث، فإن هذه الأفكار ليست بعيدة الاحتمال. من خلال التلاعب الطبيعي أو الاصطناعي بالحمض النووي يمكن أن تنشأ كائنات مختلفة وغريبة، ويمكن الجمع بين مخلوقين أو أكثر لخلق مخلوق جديد وغريب. إذن ما مدى احتمالية وجود هذه الكائنات؟ وهل يمكن أن يكون لدينا يوما ما المعرفة اللازمة لخلق مثل هذه الكائنات؟
Yeah, the ear and the mouse is probably something that everybody's seen. It was actually carried out by a scaffold that was put on the mouse, but it's not the easiest way. It's long. You have to. It's tedious, and definitely people are looking for a better, more convenient way to carry out cloning, and that's why probably it hasn't really been carried out since, because what we know has. The knowledge we have has increased and got better and better, and we've got newer and better techniques that we can use for cloning. The stem cells are unlike any other cells in the body. They're very versatile. So most cells in the body would be differentiated early on to form, say, for example, muscle cells, endothelial cells, epithelial cells, the outer layer, the inner layer. But stem cells are unique, as in they can grow into any cell type. So that's why they're used a lot in this research when it comes to cloning, because they can form any cell type in the body.
تخيل أن الحمض النووي هو مثل القيثارة، سلسلة من الاحتمالات. عندما تلعب واحدة أو مجموعة من الدرجات الموسيقية تحصل على صوت. إذا لعبت مجموعة مختلفة فستحصل على صوت مختلف، وقد تكون متشابهة أو مختلفة تماما، والتركيبات لا نهاية لها. هذا هو الحال مع الحمض النووي. من خلال تغيير بعض البروتينات في سلسلة الحمض النووي يتم إنشاء كائنات مختلفة. يمكن التلاعب بكل شيء، مثل لون العين إلى المزاج والذكاء والقوة البدنية.
When you look at different animals, well, on the surface they look very different. Internally, they have roughly the same organs. they have a heart, they have a brain, they have a liver. There's differences within these organs in terms of the complexity, but the organs across species, for the most part, are the same. At the same time, those small differences do make a very big difference. For example, if you look at humans, what's considered to be the closest species to us, which would be chimpanzees or apes, you would see a big difference in terms of intelligence. Even though when you're looking at genes, there wouldn't be as big a difference as you would expect to see on the parent. So in one way they're very interrelated, but on the other hand, that small difference shows up as a big difference when you're talking about human intelligence versus that of an ape or a monkey.
Maybe somewhere out there are flying elephants, or bushes who speak, or trees who work. All kind of fantasies are possible. Why should extraterrestrials from another solar system look like human? This is a very, very important point. It has to do with the pyramids and all these things. Here in Switzerland, in Zurich, we have a very well-known university, the ETH, Eidgenössische Technische Hochschule, very well-known high school university, and they have made experiences with DNA. They have spread out DNA into extreme hot, into extreme cold, and soon as it was in normal temperature, it functions again as usual. Now, you infect a sector of your Milky Way with your own DNA. You know exactly the biggest part will come into the gravity of a sun, will not survive, will die. Another part will come into the gravity of gigantic planets like Jupiter. They will not survive. Or too hot planet like Mercury. They will not survive. A small part of it will come into the gravity of planets which are similar than to the one who started with all this. And now life starts.
I think it's very interesting in this day and age how we consider that we know everything there is to know when it comes to science, when it comes to the universe, or if we don't know, we're definitely getting there. But when we look at certain things from the past, we get clues to tell us that maybe we don't know everything that there is to know. And definitely when it comes to the Lamassu, when it comes to these other ancient beings that we thought were myths, that we thought were legends, that we thought were stories that could never be real, we're now finding out that possibly, more than possibly, they could be real. And it definitely makes you think not only about these creatures, but the knowledge that these ancient civilizations had and where they got it from, and what else we can learn. If in terms of science we can learn so much from the past, then who were these beings who created? Who were these beings who created them, and what else could we learn from them?
Then astronomy, some 40 years ago, they said it is impossible to travel between the stars. In the meantime, we know, yes, it is possible. Or the looking of extraterrestrials we had before. Yes, it is quite possible that some extraterrestrials look like us because we are the offsprings of this. So all these, again, stories, they lose and lose and lose. And the new spirit of time is created in our time. And sooner or later, I think it's a question of 10 years. We will have a revelation. We will know we were visited by beings from outer space, and we don't have to be afraid. They are here again, they observe us again.
If you see these creatures or these images on these that we have from God knows how long ago, initially I guess people might have thought, like maybe even 10-20 years back, that it's impossible, this is sci-fi. It's not likely to happen anytime soon, it's not even possible, you couldn't even conceive it. But definitely knowing what we know today, it'd be very difficult to rule it out as a possibility. 100% it's possible. That is what science definitely would say. If you look at the research that's out there, the studies that are being carried out, they're being carried out because people do think that this is possible, and they want to 100% either confirm it or they're trying to confirm it.
I have learned in school here in Switzerland some 30 years ago, it all started here by the so-called primordial soup. The atoms came together to form molecules, etc. Modern science says this theory was wrong. It was fascinating, but it was wrong. The information has come from outside. And the funny thing is, all this, what I'm telling now, is already written in our holy books, including in the Holy Quran, including in the Bible. They all say, and God created humans according their own image. So we are the offsprings of another solar system. Now it explains why extraterrestrials should be similar than we. Of course, you do not exclude that there are completely different forms of life. But the other forms of life, maybe there are something like flying elephants. The flying elephants will visit planets of the flying elephants because they want to survive there. Or the flying bushes want to visit planets of the flying bushes. And we, with our body, with our temperature, we will visit the same planet similar to us, which is completely normal. That's why these extraterrestrials who were here, who visited Einoch, who teach Einoch, they were similar to us. It is not important if they have 6 fingers or 3, but they had a head, they had a body, they had bones, they could speak. So Einoch was a human, but he was taught by the extraterrestrials.